I'm going to play all 12 notes in the chromatic scale, and I'm going to play it in such a way that makes it sound like I'm not doing that. Let's take a listen. Hey man, so like what notes can I play over like an E natural minor chord, man?
All of them.
Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Sirvalorsax. In this video, I want to emphasize the fact that you can play any note on any chord. Here's how it works. The root of the chord tells us what the chord is. The third, fifth, and seventh tells us the quality of the chord. Quality meaning whether it's major, minor, dominant, whatever. Here's what's cool about it. All the other notes in the scale reinforce the tonality. It reinforces the quality of the chord. So you can actually use a major third to reinforce the sound of a minor chord. You can use any note to reinforce the tonality, the quality of any chord. So today we're going to focus on natural minor. This is a good one because we are already familiar with having harmonic minor do exactly that. With natural minor, we don't have that leading tone. So we borrow from harmonic minor. It gives us a leading tone and it helps to reinforce the sound of minor. If you don't believe me, don't take my word for it. Let's take a look at the master himself, John Williams. Let me play this for you. Okay, to your ear, that probably sounded like Hedwig's theme from Harry Potter. But to an experienced person like myself, I heard every note in the chromatic scale used to play this melody and reinforce concert E minor. Before I go too far into this video, I do want to point out that the theme to Harry Potter does actually change ever so slightly. There's one note that's different from the first time it's played to the second time. Basically, when the band kicks in, that D sharp goes to a D natural. But for the sake of this video, that D sharp is doing something really important. It's giving us full chromatic possibilities with this. Just keep that in mind if you're transcribing and you're like, hey man, he ain't playing it right. He ain't playing. Yeah, I'm playing it right. I'm playing it right. Let me play it this way, only this time the chromatic notes, the notes outside of the tonality, I'm going to resolve them soon as I play them. Let's take a listen this time. Piece of cake. If you like this kind of content and you want to support the channel, you can buy me a delicious piece of cake. It's like Patreon or Kickstarter, one of these kind of things, one of these donation type of things. And I appreciate those of you who have done that. Thank you a lot. Also, I have some links to Amazon for stuff that ain't mine, that I just think is cool, and absolutely, most definitely, the most requested of all, my saxophone sound development book that is also available. Check out these links in the description box below. I think John Williams was being a little bit cheeky with this line here. But he changes it up just to throw us off with Johnny Boy. Piece of cake, man. I don't really want to get too much into the actual chord changes of this melody because I think way too much emphasis in learning jazz is actually put on jazz harmony, but not enough on jazz melody. As a melody creator, I'm forced to have to interpret the chord changes through melody. And what do chord changes actually do? Chord changes just takes us on a journey away from the one chord to the 5 chord and back to the 1 chord. Now, sometimes it's kind of rare, but you don't actually go to the 5 chord. So something else is going to serve as a high point of tension. This is what a chord progression actually does. And the more interesting your chord progression is, the more valuable this is going to be to you as a listener. Now, as a jazz player, the more chromatically interesting those chord changes are, the better the music sounds. It just sounds more interesting. So we shouldn't imprison ourselves to the chord changes when the chord changes are really just playing exotic melody notes that we as a melody player need to learn how to use in order to reinforce the tonality, that overall mood of whatever song or whatever solo that we're taking over whatever song. There is one chord in particular that I do want to take a look at, and this is the chord that's over this. It is an F sharp 7 flat 9. This is the 5 chord that takes us back to E minor. Now actually it's a 2 dominant that actually goes back to 1. But this works because we are taking advantage of how tritones move. Now in classical music, tritones either move inward or they move outward. Like for example, if you're in the key of, let's say, C major, the G dominant 7, G, B, D, F has a tritone. That is our 5 chord. You have a B natural and an F. In classical music, the B, the 3rd, goes up, the F goes down. Now in classical, you have an augmented 6th chord. An augmented 6th chord is just simply what they call it when the 3rd goes down and the 7th goes up. Now this is important to understand with jazz because in jazz, tritones don't move like this. In jazz, a tritone will move one note and pivot the other note. Just like in basketball, you can move one foot, but you got to pivot the other foot. So for example, you have that same G, B, D, F dominant 7 chord. The B is going to stay the same. That's our pivot point. The F is going to go down to the E, resolving this to a C major 7 chord. Now, relating to this song, that F7, relating to this song, the F sharp 7 flat 9, we have an A sharp, which is a tritone away from an E natural, which is the root of the tonality. So the E stays the same, the A sharp resolves to a B, that gives us the 1 and the 5 of the target chord, which is the E minor. Also, in that F sharp 7 flat 9. We have a G natural, which stays the same because that's the third of the E minor. It's a much softer type of resolution. We all know John Williams really wanted to do this. The point of all of this is to empower you to not be afraid of playing notes outside of the ones that have gotten really boring. As you play all the diatonic notes, you play the notes that you know work, but then they start to drain on you. They start to sound monotonous and boring. This is a huge criticism of smooth jazz. It's not harmonically interesting enough, and it's also kind of a critical point of straight ahead jazz is that maybe it's a little too chromatic and people have a hard time following it. But I do believe that there is a happy medium in between all of that, and I try to thread it every single time. Okay, so don't be afraid to play the wrong notes. They make the song sound better and more interesting. Not only do I have an affiliate link with Amazon, but I also have an affiliate link with Woodwind Brasswind. If you are interested in picking up any new saxophones or saxophone related products, you can stop over at the link that I have below. Also, this is Jazz Appreciation Month at Woodwind Brasswind. Celebrate swing with savings of up to 41% now through April 29th. Be sure to check that out. Alrighty, that's all I got for you. Thanks for tuning in. See ya!